Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to inform and educate their consumers, to grow their practice, and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of spotlights on remarkable attorneys from across the country with a focus on estate planning and elder law. Joining me on this segment from Orlando, Florida is Peggy Hoyt. Peggy, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's a pleasure to be here.
I know that elder law and estate planning is a broad topic. Please give us a little brief overview on your areas of focus and the types of clients that you help.
So we like to help people who love their families first and foremost. But typically in a day, what we would do is counsel with people about their estate planning, whether that be wills or trusts or powers of attorney. And we also help families as they make decisions related to long-term care, assisted living, nursing home care, in-home care. And then we also work with families who have family members with special needs.
I understand that like elder law is sort of an evolution of estate planning. And this recent pandemic has shined a huge spotlight on the need. Do you feel that things are changing now and people are paying more attention and causing more awareness to the topic of getting all the ducks in the row?
Absolutely, I do. We are busier than we have ever been, and I think it's a combination of things. I think that existing clients are doing a better job of keeping their plans updated. And I think that there is a steady stream of new clients, people who are finally kind of getting around to it, if you will, but recognizing that there's no time like the present to plan.
Now, the folks that weren't quite prepared and frankly went into crisis mode during the pandemic, what are the kind of dangers that you've seen that could be avoided by having a proper plan?
So I think the worst thing that can happen to anybody is that they pass away without a will. So the number one thing is everybody needs to have a last will and testament, because if you don't have one, the state where you live has created one for you. And it may not be the kind of plan that you were expecting. For example, I have a family right now where the husband passed away. It was a third marriage situation, and we are dealing with the surviving spouse from the third marriage. We're also dealing with children from the first, second, and third marriages, as well as some adopted children. So very interesting outcomes that could have been planned for, but have some unexpected events coming up because of the fact that he died without a will.
And I understand that depending on the state you're in, having a will, you almost need to have even more than that, because isn't it true in many states that just having a will still put you in probate? Could you speak to that and sort of what are ways to make it better?
Okay, I think that's a great question, because having a will actually guarantees probate. Probate is the actual proving of a person's will, but I'm always the first one to say that I don't think probate is a four-letter word. It happens to be a process that you go through. It's a court-administered process, and it's typically three overarching steps. Number one is to identify and gather the assets of the person who has passed. Number two is to identify and pay the creditors of the person who has passed. And then number three is to distribute the assets to the intended beneficiaries. So lots of people say, yeah, I still don't want to go through the probate process. Having a trust is a way to avoid probate, but it doesn't avoid the administration process. So I think it's important to have a good long conversation with a legal professional about what your goals are and how to best accomplish those.
Terrific insights. I understand that you also have an expertise in something very unique, which is cryonics. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. Cryonics planning is really aimed at individuals who want to be frozen or cryonically preserved when they die, with the expectation that someday they might have the medical technology to actually revive somebody from that state. It's a very small group of clients, but I will say that the numbers are growing, and recently released the Cryonics Estate Planning Handbook.
Fascinating. And that's also, did you mention that it's not just for people, but sometimes it's for pets as well?
It is absolutely for pets as well. And I also have an expertise in helping people plan for their pets. All 50 states and the District of Columbia now have pet trust statutes. And so you can create a trust for the benefit of your cat, your dog, your horse. And I work with clients on a daily basis to accomplish those goals to make sure that loved pets stay in loving homes.
I know people often, aging is such a sensitive subject. People kick the can down the road and they don't think about this stuff. They're like elder law, estate planning. I don't even have anything to plan, so I don't need to do this till later. What are some of the biggest myths or misconceptions that you've heard that may keep people from planning properly?
Well, everybody does have an estate, regardless of what they think. They do have an estate. If you own even $1, that's your estate. If you have a vehicle and you happen to pass away, that vehicle is part of your estate. If you own real property, it's part of your estate. So having some plan, and I don't care if you're 18 or if you're 80, it's important to have a plan. So for folks that are younger, we do what's called a kids in college plan, which focuses more on what happens if they become disabled during their lifetime versus what happens if they die. But I think that's also one of the biggest myths in the estate planning area, is that you only need to plan for when you die. And absolutely not true. We have a much greater likelihood of actually becoming mentally disabled during our lifetime than we do of just simply passing away. So financial powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, living wills, which is your expression of how you want to be cared for at the end of your lifetime, all very important parts of a comprehensive plan.
We're doing this interview in May, which is Elder Law Month. So I really appreciate the insights and raising awareness for this. Peggy, what inspired you to focus on elder law and estate planning? How did you get started in this field?
Interestingly, I used to work as a financial consultant. So I started my career in the financial services industry, and I worked with a lot of estate planning attorneys at that time. And I thought, gee, I'd really like to be the estate planning attorney. So as time went on, I made the decision to go to law school, and I knew going to law school that I was going to focus my efforts on estate planning. The elder law came along a little later after my law partner was called to active duty in Iraq. He had a very active elder law practice. And so I had to keep the law firm going and learned elder law. And then both he and I became board certified in not only wills, trusts, and estates, but in elder law as well.
Before I ask you my last question, for somebody that realizes now that, hey, I better pay attention to this, but they just don't know where to start, what should they do first? And what are the big pillars that they really need to focus on to get their ducks in a row?
Well, I think the first thing is to find somebody that you can work with, that you really like, that's going to be able to teach you the questions that you didn't know you needed to ask. And a really good resource is a website called estateplanning.com. You can find lawyers all over the country that are members of an organization called Wealth Council. But ask your friends, ask your financial advisors, ask your CPA for recommendations to estate planning or elder law attorneys that might be appropriate for you. And then go talk to them, interview them, find out if it's a good fit. Bring all of your financial and your legal documentation with you, and expect to enjoy the journey and learn a lot as part of the process.
For folks tuning in now that are in Florida or areas that you serve, how can they find you, connect with you, and learn more?
Easy to find us. So we're on the web at hoytbryan.com, HOYTBRYAN.com. Our phone number is 407-977-8080. And we're happy to help anyone who might need our assistance.
Peggy, this has been terrific. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing with my audience today. I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's been my pleasure.
Peggy Hoyt from HoytBryan.com out of Orlando, Florida. And this segment's been brought to you by BooksGrowBusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals publish to educate their consumers, to grow their businesses, and to leave a legacy. That's all for now. I'm Mark Imperial, and thanks for joining me.